For years, this thing was basically a ghost. A multi-billion-dollar rumor just ripping through the Nevada desert at night. A machine so secret, its existence wasn't even confirmed until a full-scale demonstrator had already been flying for months. Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the F-47, America's brand new sixth-generation fighter. Virtually unseeable, the most lethal aircraft ever built by human hands. I mean, listen to those words from the official announcement. And trust me, that isn't just hype. It signals a massive leap into a whole new era of air combat, one that's designed for total invisibility and just overwhelming dominance. So yeah, what is this new secret fighter really? And why is the Air Force betting the farm on it? Well, to answer that, we have to understand the problem it was built to solve, a challenge that even today's most advanced fighters, like the legendary F-22 Raptor, just can't handle. See, the F-22 was an absolute apex predator, the undisputed king of the skies. But it was designed for a very specific kind of fight, a super high-intensity battle over the pretty tight confines of Europe. But the world changed, and the whole strategic map has been redrawn. Just take a look at these two maps. You can see how much potential conflicts have shifted. We're not talking about the dense web of bases in Europe anymore. We're talking about the vast, empty expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Out there, the distances between friendly air bases are measured in thousands of miles, not hundreds. And this is where the Raptor's greatest strength actually becomes a critical weakness. And when you look at the raw numbers on this chart, wow, the difference is just staggering. The F-22 has a combat radius of around 590 nautical miles. In the Pacific, that gets you from your base to, well, the middle of nowhere, basically. The requirement for the F-47 is over 1,000 nautical miles. That's a 70% increase. It's a fundamental shift in what a fighter can do. Now, you might be thinking, what about aerial refueling? Well, here's the problem. Tankers are basically just giant, slow-moving gas stations in the sky. In a modern fight, they're just screaming, hey, shoot me down first. If you lose your tankers, your short-range fighters are done. They're out of gas. The F-47's incredible range is specifically designed to keep those vulnerable tankers safely out of the fight. So how in the world does the F-47 pull off this incredible performance? It's not just about flying farther, it's about being so advanced that the enemy literally never knows you're there. And this is where we get into some truly next-generation tech. Stealth plus plus. I know, it sounds a little bit like a marketing slogan, but it points to a massive leap forward. Current stealth fighters like the F-22 and F-35, they're great at hiding from high-frequency targeting radars, the kind that guide missiles. But they're not so great at hiding from the low-frequency search radars that scan huge swaths of the sky. The F-47's design aims to be invisible to, well, everything. 3 key pieces of tech make this possible. First, you've got that tailless, blended wing shape. That's kind of the holy grail of stealth design. Second, these revolutionary new adaptive cycle engines that can literally switch between a fuel-sipping cruise mode and a high-thrust combat mode. And third, something called open systems architecture, which is really the brains of the entire operation. The best way to explain the difference is with an analogy. Think of the F-22 systems like one of those old-school Nokia phones. Yeah, it was indestructible, great at its one job, but you couldn't install any new apps, right? Well, the F-47 is a smartphone. The plane itself is just a shell for software that is constantly evolving. So if a new sensor or weapon gets invented in 2035, you just plug it in. It makes the aircraft future-proof in a way that nothing before it ever was. But the most radical part of the F-47 isn't its stealth or its engines. It's the fact that it is designed to never, ever fight alone. And this is a complete rewrite of the rules of air warfare. The F-47 is the centerpiece of what the Air Force calls a system of systems. It basically acts as the quarterback for a whole swarm of semi-autonomous drone wingmen. These are called collaborative combat aircraft, or CCAs. They're stealthy, they're jet-powered, and, this is crucial, they're affordable enough to be considered disposable. So the pilot doesn't have to risk the multi-hundred-million-dollar F-47 on the most dangerous missions. This totally changes the pilot's job. I mean, they're not dogfighting with a joystick anymore. They are a battle manager, calling plays right from the cockpit. Okay, Drone 1, go jam that enemy radar. Drone 2, you fly ahead and scout. Drone 3, engage that target. The AI handles the how, the pilot handles the what. Of course, this level of innovation doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Building an invisible, drone-commanding superjet? Yeah, that's not cheap. And the story of how it got built is a high-stakes drama of corporate survival, political games, and just mind-boggling sums of money. So in the years leading up to this contract, the aerospace giant Boeing was really facing a perfect storm of challenges. They had high-profile issues with their commercial airliners, costly delays on other defense programs. I mean, their legendary fighter jet division, the one that built the F-15 and F-18, was facing a really uncertain future. Losing this contract could have been a knockout blow. And the stakes were just astronomical. The price for a single F-47 is estimated to be around $300 million. That's roughly 3 times the cost of an F-35. This price tag is so staggering that back in 2024, the entire program was actually paused for a bit because of cost concerns. The competition to build it was a true battle of titans. Northrop Grumman, who had just won the B-21 bomber contract, bowed out. So that left Lockheed Martin, the builder of the F-22 and F-35, going up against a struggling Boeing. And, in a shock to a lot of people in the industry, Boeing got the contract. It was a lifeline that secured their future as a top-tier fighter manufacturer for decades. This whole program actually goes all the way back to a DARPA research project in 2014. It stayed deep in the shadows until September 2020, when the Air Force just casually announced that a full-scale demonstrator had already been flying. Then, after that cost scare in 2024, the final contract was awarded to Boeing, finally bringing the secret project out into the open. So all of this, the technology, the cost, the strategy, it all leads to a much deeper, more philosophical question about the very nature of air combat, and really the role of the human inside of it. For over 100 years, air combat has been defined by the pilot, the ace in the cockpit. The F-47 changes all that. The human is still there, but they're less of a hands-on dogfighter and more of a systems administrator, making the crucial moral decisions while managing a whole robotic swarm. And this shift has huge implications, not just for pilots, but for the entire American aerospace industry. Boeing's win reshapes the whole landscape. With Boeing leading the F-47 fighter, Lockheed Martin on the F-35, and Northrop Grumman building the B-21 bomber, each of the big three now holds a critical core program. This balance is what really fosters the intense competition that drives innovation. And that innovation is absolutely critical because this isn't happening in a bubble. The F-47 is America's move and a global 6th-generation arms race. China is already flight testing its own rival, the J-36, and European coalitions are right behind with fighters like Tempest. The race to own the future of the skies is officially on. Which brings us to the final critical question. The F-47 represents this profound shift, putting a human at the center of a swarm of machines. But as that technology matures, as autonomy gets better and better, you really have to wonder, is the F-47 the last time a pilot ever straps into the cockpit of a brand new fighter jet?